Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight, the Golden Isles MP confident he'll be re-elected despite being with another party. The Attorney General says new measures being looked at to help curb the spread of COVID-19. Plus, the Education Minister may not get an apology from the BUT President anytime soon.
Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Welcome to Our News and thank you for joining us. I'm Kyle Joaquin. One day after he announced he would be joining the Progressive Liberal Party, Golden Isles MP Vaughn Miller said he is confident he will be re-elected in the next general election. Miller said he realized he was not wanted in the Free National Movement, adding since he was fired from his parliamentary secretary post for voting against the unpopular VAT hike, the party's leadership has not spoken to him. Here's Berthany McDermott.
He went from this
Ready to go! Fire up! Ready to go!
to this.
I've decided, Mr. Speaker, to join the Progressive Liberal Party.
After he quit the FNM in December 2019, Miller said it was never his intention to remain an independent member of parliament. He reasons that after being in the political wilderness, he decided that this would be the right path for him.
It was a matter of talking to the leadership, and finding out where they were. And in terms of with the history of the organization, what the organization has been about, where they are in relation to that. And I was very satisfied with those conversations.
Miller trod a rocky road during his time with the FNM. He was fired from his post as parliamentary secretary in the Ministry of Social Services after he voted against the increase in value-added tax. Miller also spoke out against government's resolution seeking parliamentary approval to enter into a lease agreement for the Town Centre Mall, partially owned by then Cabinet Minister Brent Simonet. Since being fired in 2018, Miller said he eventually realized he wasn't wanted by the FNM.
The leadership in the Free National Movement never, since I was fired, it's never spoken to me. There's never been reconciliation in terms of wanting to, of us to talk, discuss, and whatever challenges there were to resolve them. That was never done. So I knew.
Miller will be seeking the PLP nomination for the Golden Isles constituency in the next general election. If he doesn't get that nomination, Miller says he will be willing to run in another constituency for the PLP, noting that it's less about politics for him and more about the people. We also asked the Golden Isles MP if he consulted his constituents before making the move.
There are persons I surrounded myself with who I definitely spoke to, and they were in tune all the way. And then there were some constituents who I spoke with, but it wasn't like I had to speak to persons to come to this conclusion.
Now, while Miller admits that going from an FNM MP to an independent MP to now PLP MP may negatively impact him in the next election, he still says he's confident that he will again capture that Golden Isles seat.
Again, are you confident that you will secure the seat?
I'm confident.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
Well, rookie moves from the start is how FNM Chairman Carl Culmer described Vaughn Miller's time representing the FNM in Golden Isles. Culmer says Miller's move to the PLP was no weight off the FNM as he simply returned to the political party he wanted to represent from the beginning.
All I would say to Mr. Miller and the PLP, enjoy each other's company and hope the relationship works out.
The FNM chairman wishing Golden Isles MP Vaughn Miller and the PLP the best of luck, as the former FNM MP who campaigned on the People's Time slogan back in 2017 prepares to ride the wave with Brave.
Vaughn Miller several times applied to run for the PLP in Surrey Lutra, and he wanted to be an MP, and he saw an opportunity with the FNM, and he came over.
But the FNM, according to Culmer, realized it had a problem on its hands from the budget debate in 2018, when the Golden Isles MP joined 3 other FNM MPs in voting against an increase in value-added tax, a decision that cost him his parliamentary secretary job. Culmer says while the party doesn't mind its MP speaking up, they realized not everyone was a team player, and Miller made some rookie moves.
They come in with their own ideas rather than trying to learn the party and learn how parties run, how businesses run. You can't have your own way and expect to operate in a vacuum. Politics is a team sport, and at the end of the day, when you cannot agree with the philosophy of the team, I guess you part ways.
Culmer said he had hoped Miller would understand the importance of being a team player within the party, but said it's obvious some people get into politics all for themselves.
It's same as though he's thinking about himself. He said yesterday that after considering, and he found out that it was much better for him and not the people, that he'd go to the PLP. So I hope that he would understand that he was elected to represent the people and not himself. And he was elected as an FNM.
FNM MPs Dr. Dwayne Sands and Frederick McAlpine have been very vocal on some issues, offering tough critiques of some of government's decisions. As for where they stand in the party,
both of them say they are FNMs, and as long as they're FNMs, we look out and we protect and we work with those who want to work with the FNM. Up to now, we have not seen them saying anything other than their FNMs. So I take them at their word and allow them, and we allow them to function as FNMs.
Well, Von Miller's constituents in Golden Isles also had a lot to say about his decision to join the PLP. While some slammed his level of representation and predicted he has a slim chance of re-election, others called it the right move for the MP.
Following a decision made by Golden Isles MP Von Miller to become a member of the Progressive Liberal Party, Our News decided to hit his constituency and speak with a few residents. And here's what they had to say.
So he won't go in PLP to come back around here?
No.
Well,
do you think he stands a chance?
No.
He ain't stand no chance.
And if these people vote for him around here, they stupid.
On Wednesday, Golden Isles MP Von Miller announced in Parliament that he will join the Progressive Liberal Party. Miller, who won the Golden Isles seat on the FNM's ticket in the 2017 general election, left the party in December 2019 and became an independent MP. FNM supporter Minerve Smith said she has been disappointed in Miller's level of representation and predicted that his chances of re-election are slim. Meanwhile, fellow constituent Mario has been living in Golden Isles for over 10 years and said their previous member of parliament was much better.
He needs to do better, even if he go to run to another area. But I hear he's coming down here. But he wasting his time. Because if a man like Alcides, who was doing for the area, and he got put out, 1 Miller don't have a chance.
We haven't seen 1 Miller once from this pandemic start or anything. Now, Alcides, you used to see him. If you go up there and you call him, he'll send someone down here.
Vincent Lang, who described himself as a staunch FNM supporter, said he was personally disappointed by Miller's run for office and said his move to join the PLP was probably the best decision he could make.
That's the best thing for him to do, because he can't come back around here. He can't come back in PLP or FNM. He do the people so wrong right here.
While some residents expressed disappointment in Miller's representation, Apostle Savans Roker and her husband Cedric said he's been doing a good job so far.
I just sent him a message this morning congratulating him for crossing the fence, and if he needs to have our support, we will be there for him.
He was always for me to know it's a good MP. I never find no fault with him.
It seems the FNM may have already found Miller's replacement. Videos circulated on social media with persons wearing Free National Movement shirts that read Golden Isles, Brian Brown, the man for 2022. However, this constituent suggested it won't make a difference no matter who you vote for.
For me, I mightn't vote at all, because none of them could be trusted. PLP, neither FNM. We need to go a different road.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Giorgio Bain.
In other news, 6 months after the Minnis administration declared a state of emergency, Attorney General Carl Bethel says the government is looking at alternative measures that would be just as effective in curbing the spread of the virus. Here's Jasmine Brown.
Nobody likes living under a state of emergency. And I assure the Bahamian people that we are looking at alternative legal frameworks. But the suggestion made opposite in that other place, that we could use the existing law, is simply unachievable.
The Attorney General's admission came as senators debated and passed a resolution to extend the state of emergency, which was set to expire on September 30th.
We are looking closely at other alternative measures that will fit within the ambit of our constitutional arrangements other than a national emergency. I assure you that. And, it was a competent authority that instructed my office, me, to commence that process, and we've commenced it over the last several weeks. There's a draft that we're working on.
Governor General C.A. Smith declared a state of emergency on March 18th, 3 days after the Bahamas confirmed its first case of COVID-19. A slew of restrictive measures were implemented, including business, school and church, and beach closures, as well as lockdowns and nightly curfews. Bethel insisted they are actively looking at alternatives.
We know that we have to return to constitutional norms. We're trying to do so in a way that will arm not only this government but future governments with constitutional powers to be able to effectively and efficiently protect the Bahamian people. Should this pandemic continue, or should any new pandemic arise?
Opposition Senator Dr. Michael Darville, who tested positive for COVID-19 last month, said while he knows firsthand what it is like to battle the virus, he still believes the government is mishandling the fight against COVID-19.
The past 3 months of emergency orders has done little or nothing to suppress the cases, or the crisis, I should say, of COVID-19 in the country. Yes, we're seeing some pocket of flattening of the curve. We've seen it in Grand Bahama, and we support the necessity to lift many of the sanctions on Grand Bahama and allow the people to move and to be able to conduct their affairs.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Well, the AG also revealed today that the Bahamas will likely remain on a European Union blacklist that is set to be updated on October 1st. He said the global pandemic has derailed the government's efforts to get off the blacklist.
There's not a possibility that we will be able to make, at this rate, the delisting that we had so assiduously worked for and hoped for.
In the Senate this morning, the AG also said the Bahamas has not managed to be removed from the Financial Action Task Force gray list as previously anticipated. He added the hope is to be removed from that list by February 2021.
We were put on it because we are on the FATF gray list. That's why we're on the European Union blacklist. We have completed the reforms to get off the FATF blacklist, but we are not able to get off the EU blacklist because of the pandemic, which has prevented the progress we would otherwise have achieved.
More news on the way, but here's a first look at weather with meteorologist Greg Thompson. Good evening, Greg.
Thanks, Kyle. I'm meteorologist Greg Thompson with your first look at weather. Outside our studios, warm conditions, temperatures settling into the mid-80s, 85 degrees outside our studios under partly cloudy skies. Winds out of the east-southeast at 8 knots. Your feels-like temperature around 87 degrees Fahrenheit. On our satellite, high pressure remains in charge of the weather, generating nice conditions. The breeze is still continuing from the southeast. Some patchy clouds around the area. A couple isolated showers expected tonight through tomorrow morning. That is your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
Today's weather forecast was sponsored by Ensure. Ensure provides complete balanced nutrition for strength and energy.
Move with strength and energy. Drinking Ensure, you get vitamins, minerals, and up to 30 grams of high-quality protein. Your life, your health, your Ensure.
Still to come, government's plans for affordable housing. Plus, the education minister could be waiting a while for an apology from the BUT president. Stay tuned.
So the project really pays itself back.
Correct.
They set up
at the conference, the school.
As a journalist, I always have to focus on the facts, and sometimes that means going to investigate for myself. On the Record, Thursdays at 8 p.m. right here on RTV.
Work on Carmichael Village, a 365-lot government community, is currently underway, according to Minister of Environment and Housing, Ramal Ferreira, who said several jobs are currently out to tender for that project.
This contract will be for the installation of the sewerage system, water supply, storm drainage, and of course, construction of the roads. The subdivision consists of 365 lots divided into 4 phases. The initial development will be phase 1, and it will commence with 107 lots. The second part of the infrastructure is for the installation of the electrical works, and this is currently out to tender.
40 lots in the first part of the government's housing subdivision have been sold. Ferreira said they are also developing subdivisions on Abaco.
The Department of Housing is developing 21 lots in Spring City, Abaco, with the aim to construct 21 townhouse-style duplex units. The tendering process for surveying the 21 lots is complete, and a contract has been signed to survey the lots. The tendering process to select an engineering company to manage the civil works at the subdivision has also been completed.
During a news conference this afternoon, Ferreira also announced that the Bahamas Mortgage Corporation has started to call clients after a 6-month deferral program. He said the corporation is encouraging clients to come in and speak with them.
With the expiration of the initial 6 months, the corporation has begun to reach out to all of its clients, all of them, who were impacted by the layoffs or who were working reduced days a week. These clients are asked to please contact the corporation and speak with us.
Well, the gloves are off between Education Minister Jeffrey Lloyd and Bahamas Union of Teachers President Belinda Wilson. In a letter to National Advisory Council on Education Chairman Elmer Garraway, the Education Minister yesterday said he will not be attending any meetings where Wilson is present after she reportedly had some choice words for him in a WhatsApp message in late August. He's now demanding an apology from Wilson, who says she's disappointed the minister is sharing content of their private communication.
And the Minister of Education should use his time more wisely and try to get reliable internet access to the schools, laptops for the teachers. He should make sure the schools are safe. He should get the virtual platform up and running so that students and teachers and parents can access it. He should make sure that teachers are trained properly. So I believe that he's grasping at straws.
In his letter, Lloyd said in realizing her error, Wilson deleted the message, but at that point he had already seen it. He added that after a virtual meeting the next day, the BUT president doubled down using another obscene word. When she spoke with Our News today, Wilson indicated there will be no apology and the minister should just move on. Does Belinda Wilson plan on apologizing to Minister Lloyd, and if not, why not?
Hold your breath.
That's it? No, why not?
Hold your breath. Goodbye.
Grand Bahama Power Company will postpone the implementation of its storm recovery and stabilization charge to customers to 2021. The announcement comes weeks after residents protested outside the power company. Grand Bahama Port Authority said in its role as regulator, it must balance the need for a healthy electric utility against the needs of the consumer and the island's economy. The port's General Legal Counsel, Carla McIntosh, said the SRS charge, which allows the utility to recoup costs associated with storm restoration, was initially approved for implementation on April 1st, 2020. However, amid the pandemic and 2 subsequent lockdowns, the SRS charge was delayed to August 1st and then further to October 1st. McIntosh said given the present state of the economy and the unexpected second wave and restrictive lockdowns, it is GBPA's regulatory obligation to consider the best interests of customers. Therefore, they have worked with GB Power to further delay recovery of the $15.6 million in costs for Hurricane Dorian until January 1st, 2021. She stressed the SRS charge is not a flat fee, but based on consumption. Still to come, a Grand Bahama environmentalist calls for a bigger focus on ecotourism. Stay tuned.
So the project really pays itself back.
Correct.
They set up
at the conference.
The school.
As a journalist, I always have to focus on the facts, and sometimes that means going to investigate for myself. On the Record, Thursdays at 8 p.m. right here on our TV.
You're watching Our News. Welcome back. A Grand Bahama-based environmentalist is calling for more focus to be placed on ecotourism. Waterkeepers Bahamas Executive Director Rashima Ingram says with more large-scale projects being given the green light, particularly on Grand Bahama and the Family Islands, conservation and preservation should take precedence. She recommended smaller eco-cottages.
I wouldn't be concerned about them because those persons are going to stay longer. They want those nature trails. They want the mangroves to be able to kayak through. They want the healing holes for them to swim through and be connected spiritually. So in terms of the coastline, those smaller eco cottages would do a much better job at really creating that experience and keeping that natural environment compared to the larger hotels.
According to Ingram, those types of projects prove useful in the preservation of mangroves, which are helpful during natural disasters like Hurricane Dorian.
We experienced that while I was in there personally during Hurricane Dorian. You've had persons who stayed on Sweetens Key who weren't really as affected as their neighboring community, which would be McLeanstown. And so if you look at the damages that would have been done at McLeanstown and Sweetens Key, it's almost like night and day. And it's because Sweetens Key have those red mangroves whose root systems really act as the defense.
And that's a look at news. Stay tuned. Sports is up next.
So the project really pays itself back.
Correct.
They set up
at the conference, the school.
As a journalist, I always have to focus on the facts, and sometimes that means going to investigate for myself. On the Record, Thursdays at 8 p.m. right here on our TV.
A local boxer comes one step closer to achieving his goal of becoming a world champion. Marcellus Hall has that in this edition of Sports.
Reno Johnson now set to step back into the ring as boxing rears up once again. Reno, of course, looking towards his ultimate goal of being a middleweight champion. Bahamian professional boxer Toriano Johnson has not been sitting idle. Johnson announcing that he will return to the ring on October 30th against former junior middleweight champion Jaime Munguia.
This is a fight that I've been anticipating for quite a while. Jaime Munguia, I've sought him out just a few months ago, called him out, told him, listen, I want to fight. You're really a middleweight. You're moving up to my division. I think you need to come through me first. And indeed, you know, he accepted the challenge.
Toriano saying that due to COVID-19, there have been some challenges with training, but he and his team have risen to the occasion.
My training camp has moved from Nassau to Florida to Atlanta, now going to New York, all because, well, mostly because of, you know, venues not being able to accommodate, you know, my training staff and myself. You know, so it's all about, you know, making the best of what you have, and I got to give God thanks, man. You know what, things are pretty much looking up for me.
Johnson adding that the bout a stepping stone to his ultimate goal of being champion.
Once winning this fight, we are automatically the mandatory of all divisions, you know, holding all of the major belts from the WBC, the WBO, the IBF, and the WBA. You know, those are the 4 major titles. And once winning this fight, I will be in the top mandatory spot for all 4 world titles, being able to challenge Canelo Alvarez, who is the current pound-for-pound middleweight champion.
And don't forget, Thursday Night Football comes your way this evening. Miami Dolphins taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars in a pivotal game for both of these teams, really, as they both try to salvage their seasons as we're underway with week number 3. Reporting for Our News, I'm Marcellus Hall.
And that's a look at news. We throw it back to meteorologist Greg Thompson for the extended weather forecast.
Thanks again, Kyle. I'm meteorologist Greg Thompson with your second look at weather. On our satellite, high pressure remains in charge of our area, generating the east-southeasterly breeze. Frontal boundary near the southeast Bahamas eventually will lift back towards the north, so we could see some showers and isolated thunderstorms into the weekend. Your boating forecast for all areas for the night through tomorrow. Your winds are going to be out of the east to southeast, 10 to 15 knots, seas 2 to 4 feet, but we do expect those swells to be up to 7 feet offshore. Low tide will be at 9:17 tonight. Here's a look now at your national forecast. A look now at your extended forecast through Tuesday. That's a look at our weather. Have a safe night, everyone.
Thank you for joining us for Our News tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Kyle Joaquin. Remember, you can catch Our News on the Go, the Ref Go Play app. Stay tuned for a brand new episode of On the Record with host Jerome Sawyer. Have a good evening, Thomas.